Broadside Books and Harper Audio present Raven 23, How the Department of Justice Betrayed American Heroes, by Gina Keating, read by Tanya Eby. This book is for Hannah, Quinn, Lily, Willa, Eileen, Christian, and Reagan. Never take your own revenge, beloved, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he is thirsty, give him a drink. For in so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Romans chapter 12, verses 19 through 20. Author's note. A portion of the proceeds from this book will go to financially support 4 American heroes whose lives were devastated by America's criminal justice system: Dustin Hurd, Evan Liberty, Paul Slew, and Nick Slatton. Introduction. The Case of the Vanishing Insurgents. What do you do when the entire world believes a story that you can see is false? When no one is interested in the truth? At the beginning of my investigation into the Raven 23 case, I thought I knew what the world was like. The reality of the corruption, abuse of power, and malice I saw in America's institutions persuaded me of something I didn't believe before: that evil exists. The men of Raven 23 could have faded into the obscurity they craved after their unlikely pardons, but they wanted the truth told. And we who took the journey to free them wanted those who imprisoned them to know, "We saw what you did. We will not forget." It started with a false story. The events in Nisour Square, where 4 Blackwater mercenaries opened fire in an Iraqi intersection, constituted one of the most notorious incidents of the Iraq War. According to the official story, the mercenaries fired unprovoked into a crowd of civilians, leaving chaos and death in their wake, and attempted to cover it up. That accounting helped shape a narrative that U.S. mercenaries were corrupt and vicious killers, that our government was comparatively upstanding and willing to prosecute even its own citizens, and that the sort of men who worked for Blackwater were just thugs looking for trouble. But what if I told you that nearly every fact in the official story was a lie? That the men were, in fact, fired upon by insurgents that no government wanted to admit existed? That far from holding our own accountable, the U.S. Department of Justice cooked up a flimsy story to condemn Americans because it wanted to win diplomacy points with foreign leaders and earn plaudits from a media universe that hated the war. Thanks to WikiLeaks, we know that behind the scenes, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Vice President Joe Biden, and Attorney General Eric Holder pushed for convictions because of political pressure from a corrupt Iraqi government that they wanted to make appear legitimate. It sounds crazy, yet that was what happened. I saw it with my own eyes. You've probably heard the government's version of events: shoot first, justify later. That was what the government claimed happened on Sunday, September 16, 2007, in Baghdad, Iraq. To refresh your memory, here's the official story that gripped international headlines for a decade. It was a clear day in Baghdad. 21-year-old Ahmed Haytham al-Rubia and his mother, Mahasin, were driving to one of her work locations. Mahasin was a doctor, and her son, in his 3rd year of medical school, was well on his way to following in her footsteps. Their path went through Nisour Square, normally a busy roundabout that saw hundreds of Iraqis traverse it daily. But today was different. Traffic wasn't moving. Ahmed craned his neck to see why. It wasn't hard to identify the problem. Huge military vehicles sat at one end of the circle, damming up traffic. On top of the vehicles, armed mercenaries toted massive guns. More men peered out of the windows. The 19-man convoy was called
Sample complete. Ready to continue?